I'd like to welcome everybody to Bill Reichart, who's joining us from California. Bill is a partner in many VCs through his career, most recently at Pegasus Ventures, and we've been partnering with Pegasus Ventures in a Startup World Cup. They had quite a successful run here in Israel last year, and we look forward to partnering with them later this year. So, Bill, I just wanted to just for one moment share with you Simon Glass of Codio, who will be introducing you. Hold on one second. I'll get that.
Outstanding.
Okay.
And blog and learn more. Codio.
There we go.
So that's a natural segue. I'm Simon Glass, CEO of Codio, and Codio is delighted to be supporting access and Israeli entrepreneurs and VC. And today, also introduce the legendary Bill Reichart, whom we were lucky to meet some time back. Bill is a serial entrepreneur. He's led 2 IPOs, supported 5 unicorns, been a noted Silicon VC at Garage Technology Ventures, and now Pegasus Tech Ventures. And Bill is now an author of Getting Wow, Silicon Valley Pitch Secret, co-authored with Angelica Lindstrom, and a forward by the amazing Guy Kawasaki. So, don't forget to sign up at Codio.com now with your special QOD discount. And with no further ado, I'm delighted to hand over to Bill.
Great. Okay, I got it. It's all me.
Oh, you.
It's all me. Okay, now I just got to share my screen. All right. Well, thank you so much, Simon and Ed. I really appreciate it, and I am delighted and honored to be here and part of the Access Tel Aviv event. So appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. What I'm going to do is share my screen here and talk about the top 10 VC secrets that entrepreneurs need to know, but investors won't share. So this comes from my many years of experience on both sides of the table. I started my career as an entrepreneur, started 4 different software companies, and 2 of which went public and 2 of which crashed and burned. So a lot of scars and a lot of experience as a result of that. And then Guy Kawasaki and I got together and we started Garage Technology Ventures. And the big idea behind Garage was always we wanted to be the first venture capital firm that was designed for the benefit of entrepreneurs. We thought that was a unique value proposition. And so as part of that, what we wanted to do was make sure that we are always outbound to the entrepreneurs, sharing our experiences, what we've learned in the venture capital community as entrepreneurs and as venture investors. And so what I've discovered over the years is that there's a lot of common wisdom out there about how to be a successful entrepreneur and the way venture capitalists think. But there are a lot of things that entrepreneurs don't know that VCs won't necessarily share with them about what goes on inside the mind of the venture investor. So with that, what I want to do is share the top 10 VC secrets entrepreneurs need to know, but investors won't share. Okay, you ready? Okay, so the first one is, contrary to popular belief, investors don't invest with their brains. This was a shock to me because when I was an entrepreneur, I thought investors were these analytical geniuses that had some algorithm in the back of their head. They could listen to all of these entrepreneurs pitching them left and right, burying them with data and evidence and technology, and come up with an internal rate of return calculation and make these clever investments. And then I became a VC and I, asked my new VC buddies, now I'm one of you, please tell me, what's the algorithm? And they would look at me and say, well, Bill, we invest in teams. Yeah. I said, okay, great. What are the analytics? How do you assess them? Do you do psychometrics? What do you do to figure out the best team? They say, well, it's kind of pattern recognition. In 5 or 10 years, you'll get the hang of it. And I went, oh my God, are you kidding me? This is the way VCs invest. And so we started poking around trying to monitor how people were making their decisions. And I had this epiphany. What I realized is that The key to success if you're an entrepreneur is yes, what you say has got to make sense. It's got to be logical. You've got to have data and evidence. But the key is that investors invest with their hearts. The reason that you get that next meeting with an investor, the reason they invite you into their conference room is because they fall in love. They fall in love with a team or a technology or a vision or an opportunity. They fall in love. They listen to what you're saying, they hear what you're doing, and they go, wow, that's amazing. You got to come in and meet my partners. Wow is not an intellectual response. Wow is an emotional response. Your key to success as an entrepreneur is to get them to say, wow, that's amazing. That's what separates you from all of the rest. It's not the logic and the evidence and the 56 PowerPoint slides. It's you've got something amazing that gets our hearts beating faster, that gets our pulses racing, that gets us to say, you got to come meet my partners. So if you want to get into the mind of an investor, you first have to get into their hearts. You got to get them to fall in love. So that's the first secret. The second secret is, so a lot of entrepreneurs think the secret to getting into the VC's heart is to show vision and passion. And I will tell you, vision and passion are overrated. The reality is, yes, we enjoy entrepreneurs who are visionaries and who are passionate, but at the end of the day, what we really, really care about is we want to see that you can execute and you can sell. And so I will tell you, selling skills are the most sort of underrated skill of entrepreneurs. Who talks about selling? Nobody talks about selling. They talk about customer discovery and they talk about product market fit and they talk about vision and technology. But nobody talks about selling. At the end of the day, what we really, really care about is that you can sell. At the end of the day, all we care about is that the numbers are going up. So vision and passion are great, but at the end of the day, you got to make sure that we see that you can execute, that you can sell. Third secret. A lot of people say, you know, entrepreneurs, you're out over your skis, you're over promising, and as a result, you're under delivering. So back off a little bit. You should under promise and over deliver, right? So this is common advice that we see being given to entrepreneurs. You know, make sure you don't over promise and then fall short. So the secret, the trick is make sure you under promise and then you over deliver, right? That makes sense. But the reality you have is you got to over promise and over deliver. Again, if you want to separate yourself from the rest of the pack, you show that you can deliver things at a speed, at a pace, at a sense of urgency that, you know, passes all other entrepreneurs. To separate yourself, to stand out in the eyes of investors, you just got to overpromise and over-deliver. The fourth secret is, believe it or not, VCs are not looking for big markets. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions out there in the entrepreneur coaching world. So you all have seen this chart. Almost every slide on the slide deck on the planet has a market size slide. I mean, there must be thousands of templates out there with market size on the top of the template and three bubbles, right? Three bubbles, TAM, SAM, and SOM. Sometimes they're side by side and sometimes they're nested in each other. But, you know, almost every slide deck has a market size slide with TAM, SAM, and SOM. And every entrepreneur says, well, our TAM is $3.5 trillion, or our TAM is whatever outrageous number they can find. So don't do this. This is not what we are looking for. TAM is almost always an irrelevant number. And what all the pitch coaches tell you to do is they say, you know, those VCs, they're greedy bastards. And so they want to make sure that you have a unicorn. And in order to have a unicorn, you have to have a big market. So go out and just Google your market size and find the biggest number you can find and stick that on your slide, right? Makes a ton of sense, doesn't it? Well, not really, because it destroys your credibility. It destroys your credibility to put these kinds of numbers in a chart, all the time. I can't believe it. We get these entrepreneurs every other day. I get some sort of inbound from some entrepreneur who says, Bill, we have an amazing technology that's going to disrupt the $3.5 trillion healthcare market. You're not going to disrupt the $3.5 trillion healthcare market. You are destroying your credibility by using this TAM number to make it appear as though it's going to be easy for you to be successful because the market is so big. But that's absolutely wrong. What we're really looking for are companies that can grow fast and become big. Now, that's wildly different. So I will tell you, the most successful companies were actually starting in a $0 billion company, a $0 billion market. So the most successful companies, they create the market for their product or service or whatever it is they're doing. The most successful companies create a new market, and that's why they grow big, because they've identified a space that is not currently addressed. I will tell you, if you tell me you're going after a $56 billion market and you think that someday you can be a $100 million company, I'm going to tell you, where's the other $55.9 billion going? So focus on finding a white space that you can go after, where you can create your own market, where you are meeting a customer need or fulfilling an opportunity that is easy for you to fulfill and satisfy with a compelling value proposition. That's what enables companies to grow fast. You don't grow fast just because the market you're going after is a big number. It's the classic, all I need to get is 2% of the market and I'll be a unicorn. That's an absurd way of thinking. So what makes for a good market is some white space and your ability to deliver a compelling value proposition that is 10 times better than the current alternatives or the status quo. So that's what we want to see. We want to see that entrepreneurs understand the slice of the world they're going after, that they really, really, really understand the customers that they're going after. They know how to find those customers. They know how to talk to those customers. They know what they care about. They know how to convert those people into paying customers. They know how to service them and upsell them over time. That's what makes for a good market. That's what gets us excited, not some number that you found in Google. The fifth secret, believe it or not, VCs don't invest in entrepreneurs who are smart. What we really want are entrepreneurs who are savvy. So what's the difference between smart and savvy? So you know those smart people from school, right? Smart people are the ones who, they always got good grades, and everybody said, oh, look at how smart that person is. And they always had the right answer. Those people are not necessarily good entrepreneurs. Why aren't they good entrepreneurs? Because if you've been told all of your life that you are smart, then you have been told all your life that you have to have the right answer. And so what that means is anytime that you are confronted with a problem or a situation, you got to have the right answer. So you're going to come up with something because, after all, you're smart. You have to have the right answer. That's the wrong attitude. What we want are those people who, they made it through school. They figured out a way to get through school. They figured out a way to do a bunch of other things they wanted to do. They are savvy people. They're the people who know how to get things done. They're the people who know, God, I don't know how to do that. I better hire somebody who is really, really good at that. Smart people, their attitude is, I can figure out how to do that. I can do that myself. I don't need to hire somebody else. Savvy people say, I'm going to hire this person. I'm going to grab this person. I'm going to use this person. I'm going to borrow this person. That's what savvy people do to get things done. And that's the kind of attitude that you need to build a team, to build a company, to get things done, to push decisions to the edge to make sure that you are not the bottleneck in your company. Savvy people know they can't control everything, and they just got to hire really smart, good people to make sure things get done. So, bottom line, be careful. Be careful if you're being identified as the smart one, because that's fine. It's perfectly okay for you to be smart as long as you are also savvy. All right. So, and then secret number 6. This is a real shocker. VCs don't invest in entrepreneurs who are nice. So, people say, wait a second. What about the no asshole rule, right? Isn't that sort of a new principle in entrepreneurship? Well, yeah, that's fair. But what we see all too often are entrepreneurs who come to us because, the VCs, they've got the money. And so the entrepreneurs are very nice and they're polite and they're deferring and they, what can I do for you? And but I'll tell you, that's fine. Obviously, we don't want you to throw all etiquette out the window. But what we really want are entrepreneurs who are unbelievably persistent, who have an incredible sense of urgency, who do not want to let things slip, who will not waste their time on people, on situations, on promises that are not kept. That's what we want, is this entrepreneur who is persistent and has a high sense of urgency about getting things done. So what that means, when you're dealing with VCs, yes, you should be respectful, polite, et cetera, but we want you to take control of the process. Too many entrepreneurs, they abdicate responsibility for the funding process to the VC, because the VC is the one with the money and they do it all the time. So they abdicate responsibility for driving the process. That doesn't work. We want to see entrepreneurs who take responsibility for driving the process and making sure that it gets done, rather than coming to us periodically and saying, please, sir, would you give us some money? So we are perfectly happy investing in entrepreneurs who are nice, but as long as they have incredible persistence and a high sense of urgency. Okay? And then secret number 7 is another discovery I made later in my career than I wish I had, which is that, contrary to popular belief, high-performing teams don't execute in harmony. And so, there's a lot of talk about, healthy organizations and, respect and, working together, teamwork or family and all that good stuff, right? That's the kind of metaphor that we use for creating a good, productive, healthy team. But the reality is, if you bring in top-tier people into your organization, and these people have a variety of different backgrounds, not just different skills, of course, you've got to have the different skill sets. You need complementary skill sets to function, build a company. But it's beyond just complementary skill sets. You need different experiences, different perspectives, different ways of looking at the world. And so you bring in talented people with diverse perspectives, and you're moving along, and you have a problem you got to solve. You have a challenge, you have a strategy you've got to decide on. You get everybody together in the conference room, and you brainstorm, problem solve, figure it out, right? What happens in that conference room? What happens if you have a bunch of talented people with a lot of different experience and perspective? What happens is they come up with a bunch of different ideas. And because you have strong individuals as part of your team, they're going to fight for their ideas. They're gonna argue. So when I was an entrepreneur, I thought this whole entrepreneurship thing was all about, finding people who shared your vision and locking arms and walking forward in harmony to change the universe, playing ping pong and drinking beer and singing Kumbaya. That's what I thought entrepreneurship was all about. And so when we would start arguing, I thought, oh, that can't be right. That's got to be wrong. But what I realized is that the best performance comes from fighting over best ideas and best solutions. It turns out the most high-performing teams have a lot of conflict. You know, inside Apple, inside Intel, inside Oracle, people fight inside Microsoft. I've witnessed this personally, and it's kind of amazing. People fight. The secret is you've got to make sure that it's constructive conflict. You've got to create a culture that says we're going to listen to everyone and we're going to exercise every idea to the fullest extent, and then we're going to come to a decision. And once we come to a decision, everybody gets on board, okay? Everybody gets on board. Anybody tries to sabotage that decision and you are off the bus, okay? So it's fine to have arguments. It's fine to have constructive conflict if you can create a culture that pulls the best ideas and gets to the best decisions out of that constructive conflict. Then, secret number 8 is something that I learned a long, long time ago that too many entrepreneurs forget. So, you know, when I was a lad, when I was a young entrepreneur, this crusty old sales guy taught me a secret that I have never forgotten. And he said, Bill, you know, customers don't buy products, they buy benefits. Customers don't buy products, they buy benefits. What does that mean? It means that if you are an entrepreneur and you've come up with this clever technology and this brilliant product or this amazing service, and you think it is the coolest thing on the planet, you know, it may or may not be a successful business. Why? Because what really matters is, are you delivering a compelling value proposition? Are you delivering benefits to the customer that the customer can realize and appreciate that far exceed anything else out there? So particularly here in Silicon Valley, we see lots of engineering teams that are really product centric. And, you know, they're focused on their product and they think that's what's amazing about the company. But what we want to see are entrepreneurs who understand that the secret to success is customers don't buy products, they buy benefits. Then, secret number 9, contrary to popular belief, VCs don't understand your pitch. We may be smiling and nodding and, you know, enjoying your company, but I will tell you, first of all, entrepreneurs overestimate the domain experience of investors. So many entrepreneurs, they come into our conference room and they are, you know, spewing DRGs and DRLs and TSCs and ACVs and whatever the acronym of their industry is. And we're sitting there smiling and not, because we don't want to look stupid, right? So, but we don't know what the frick they're talking about. And then, you know, so we may not know all of your acronyms, and almost certainly the entrepreneurs almost always overestimate the clarity of their pitches. This is understandable. It's not, you know, it's not a deep flaw. It's just, it's called the curse of expertise, which is you know so much about your business that it's hard for you to understand what we don't know about your business. And so that's the translation you've got to do. You've got to make sure that when you are pitching your company, when you're talking about company, you got to make sure, number one, that you are clear about what you do. I can't tell you how many times after a pitch, you know, when I'm like on a pitch panel judging, and somebody pitches 4 minutes later, and my buddy next to me turns to me and says, "Do you know what they do? Do you understand what it is?" It just happens all the time. So make sure your pitch is clear. And then the 10th secret, contrary to popular belief, VCs don't actually believe you. Even if they invest in you, they don't actually believe you because they know you don't know how the future is going to unfold. We just hope that you're directionally right and that you are savvy enough to figure things out along the way. Because there's so many changes, so much dynamism in running a company and hiring people and getting customers and creating the next generation product. There's so much dynamism there. We know it's not going to play out the way you are promising, but we want to know that you have the savvy to change course when necessary, to power through things when necessary. So those are the top 10 VC secrets. We invest with our hearts, not with our heads. You need to prove your ability to execute and sell. You have to overpromise and overdeliver. We want good markets, not big markets. You need to be savvy, not just smart. You need to be a driver, not a beggar. High-performing teams tap diverse perspectives and get the best out of creative conflict. Focus on creating compelling value benefits for the customer, not just on cool products. Make sure your pitch is crystal clear, and make sure you understand your investors' expectations. Okay, those are the top 10 VC secrets, and this is the advertising portion of the program. If you're interested in figuring out how to develop the most effective pitch, then you can go to an Amazon.com near you and look up Getting to Wow Silicon Valley Pitch Secrets for Entrepreneurs. So with that, I am hoping, I don't know, we have questions, we have, should I unhide my screen or unshare my screen?
Yeah, Bill, why don't you unshare your screen? We have 3 minutes, but that was an amazing presentation. I just wanted to say that we talked about a master class, and I think this really is clearly a master giving us a class. I'm really humbled and
You're very kind.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Bill. It's been amazing.
Sure. So do we have any questions, or?
I think Giovanni is going to have a question.
Aha, okay. Giovanni. Can anybody hear Giovanni?
All right. All right. I guess we have a whole lot of quiet people here today.
Somebody seems to be talking, but I can't hear them. So,
okay. David Talmore asked, what type of person makes a good entrepreneur?
What type of person makes a good entrepreneur? Well, so this is one of the most asked questions of VCs all the time. And there is no one single archetype entrepreneur that is the best entrepreneur. But there are teams. We look for teams, not just individuals. So we want, obviously, the founders to be savvy. We want founders to be persistent. You know, the other factor that I didn't mention, but is critically important, is resilience. We're looking for both individuals and a team that can hang together when the going gets tough. And so, you know, one of the things that we want to make sure of when we meet a team is, you know, that the team has a healthy respect for one another. They do have a shared vision and a shared commitment to the mission of the organization. They cannot just be in it to make money. Because if they're just in it to make money, then when the going gets tough, half the team's going to say there's got to be an easier way to make money, and they're going to leave. And so that's not the kind of team we want to back. We want to back a team that has a shared commitment to making a dent in the universe and has the ability to execute and sell, has the persistence and urgency to keep on going, and has the resilience to bounce back when the going gets tough. So that's the short form.
Okay.
So I know we're out of time.
Thank you very much, Bill. I really appreciate that. And I think really I'm signing up for that book. Okay, Bill, thank you very much. Thanks for joining. And thank you. We're now having our next session on retail startups. We have a great panel with investors in retail technologies as well as startups. And we have another masterclass starting in about another hour with the head of Dale Carnegie California combined with the head of Dale Carnegie Israel for an interactive workshop. See you guys there. Thank you for joining.